The great hall stretched so far that its walls disappeared into darkness. 10,000 alien beings filled the chamber, arranged in rising circles that reached toward a ceiling no human eye could see. This was the Council of Dominion, the governing body that ruled 300,000 worlds across the galaxy, and standing in the center of it all, 3 humans waited in silence. James Blake stood perfectly still. The ambassador wore a simple black suit, nothing fancy, nothing decorated. Behind him stood Captain Helen Ross in her military uniform, and beside her Dr. Robert Kane carried only a small metal case. They looked tiny in this massive space. They looked weak. That was exactly what Blake wanted. Above them, floating on platforms of pure energy, sat the council representatives. The Vren were massive creatures covered in armored scales. The Silith looked like living shadows that shifted and moved. The Cortax were beings made of light who burned so bright it hurt to look at them. Hundreds of different species, all watching the humans with cold interest. At the highest point on a throne carved from a single diamond larger than a house, sat Emperor Drexus. His body was covered in crystal that glowed from within. He had ruled for 8,000 years. His empire had never lost a war. His word was absolute law across the galaxy. Humans of Earth, Drexus spoke, and his voice filled every corner of the chamber. You have been summoned to answer for your crimes against the Dominion. You developed faster than light travel without permission. You refused to share your biology with our archives. You destroyed our tax collection fleet when it came to your world. How do you answer these charges? Blake did not look down. He did not show fear. Instead, he smiled. We destroyed ships that invaded our home. We call that self-defense, not crime. The chamber erupted. Thousands of aliens began shouting at once. Some demanded immediate execution. Others called for Earth to be burned from space. In 12,000 years of Dominion history, no one had ever spoken to the Emperor this way. Drexus raised one crystal hand, and silence fell instantly. You dare to justify violence against the Dominion? Every species in this chamber learned to obey. What makes humans think they are different? We are different, Captain Ross stepped forward. Because we never asked to join your empire. We never agreed to your rules. You showed up in our space and started making demands. That does not make you our masters. That makes you invaders. More shouting filled the hall. The Vren representative roared that humans should be taught respect through pain. The Silith whispered that Earth's entire population should be enslaved as a lesson. The Cortax suggested simply erasing humanity's homeworld from existence. Dr. Kane opened his metal case. Inside was a small device no bigger than a phone. He held it up for everyone to see. Before we discuss punishment, you should see something. This is a scanner we built using technology from your destroyed ships. It shows us what is happening in our solar system right now. He activated the device. Holographic images appeared in the air around the humans, showing Earth, sun, and planets. But something was wrong with the images. The council members who understood such things began to whisper among themselves. Jupiter's moons are gone, observed a Vren scientist, his armored face showing confusion. Saturn's rings have been dismantled. Mars shows massive construction beneath the surface, and the asteroid belt. Where is your asteroid belt? We moved it, Blake said simply. 4 trillion tons of rock and metal. We needed the materials for something important. Emperor Drexus leaned forward on his throne. Moved it where? For what purpose? That is a very good question. Blake pulled out an old pocket watch from his jacket. Every weapon in the chamber targeted him instantly, but his hand emerged holding only the small timepiece. He opened it. Inside was a countdown timer. It read 32 minutes and 17 seconds. We moved those asteroids, Blake explained, because we needed to build something small, something you would never notice. We built 3 trillion microscopic machines, each one smaller than a grain of sand, each one carrying a very specific weapon. We launched them into space 20 years ago at slow speeds. They drifted through your empire like dust. You never saw them. You never suspected. And 3 days ago, when you summoned us here, we activated them. Activated them to do what? Drexus demanded, though his glowing form had dimmed slightly. Captain Ross took over the explanation. Your empire controls 300,000 star systems. You can reach any of them instantly using the Dominion gates. Those gates are the secret of your power. They let you move armies across the galaxy in seconds. They make your empire possible, but they also make your empire vulnerable. The gates cannot be destroyed, stated Lord Vethis of the Vren. They are made from folded space-time. They have existed for 600,000 years. They are eternal. They were eternal, Dr. Kane corrected, until we figured out how to break them. You see, the same quantum technology that makes instant travel possible also creates a weakness. A very specific vibration at a very specific frequency can cause the gates to collapse. We spent 100 years learning this. We spent 5 years building machines to exploit it. And we spent 20 years delivering those machines to every gate in your empire. The countdown showed 28 minutes. Right now, Blake continued, at every single Dominion gate, billions of our microscopic machines are attaching themselves to the quantum structure. In less than 30 minutes, they will all activate at once. And when they do, your gates will stop working. All of them. Permanently. What happens then? Emperor Drexus asked quietly. Best case, Captain Ross said. Your empire loses its gates. Travel between your worlds will take years instead of seconds. Your unified empire will fragment into thousands of isolated systems. Your governors will become independent warlords. Everything you built will fall apart. And worst case? The Emperor whispered. Dr. Kane's expression was cold. Worst case, the quantum collapse does not stop. The gates do not just break, they reverse. They become black holes. 300,000 star systems destroyed in an instant. Trillions of lives gone. 25 minutes remained. So here is our offer, Blake said. You can order Earth destroyed right now. You have the weapons. You can glass our planet. But if you do, your empire ends. We are the only ones with the codes to stop the countdown. Or you can listen. Really listen. Not to subjects who must obey, but to equals who refuse to kneel. The silence in the Great Hall was complete. Every representative stared at the three humans. These impossible creatures who had walked into the heart of an empire with a doomsday weapon and demanded to be heard. Emperor Drexus studied them for a long moment. What do you want from us? James Blake closed the pocket watch. First, we want you to understand something. Humanity does not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want your empire. We simply want to be left alone. We want independence. We want freedom, and we are willing to destroy everything you have built to get it. The question is, are you willing to lose everything just to maintain control over one small planet? The countdown continued. 23 minutes and falling. And for the first time in 8,000 years, Emperor Drexus did not know what to do. The humans waited. The council watched. And the fate of 300,000 worlds hung in the balance. 20 minutes remained on the countdown when Emperor Drexus finally spoke again. His crystal body pulsed with barely controlled anger. You come to my council with threats. You hold my empire hostage. You think this makes you strong? This makes you terrorists. James Blake shook his head slowly. No, Emperor. Terrorists attack the innocent. We are attacking a military target. Your gates, your control system, your ability to force obedience. There is a difference. Guards, Drexus commanded, remove these humans. Take them to the detention cells. We will extract the deactivation codes through other means. 50 armed soldiers materialized around the humans. They were Vren warriors, each one 3 meters tall, covered in armor that could stop plasma fire. Their weapons could vaporize a human body in milliseconds. They surrounded Blake, Ross, and Kane completely. Captain Ross did not move. She did not even look worried. You can try. But you should know something first. Those codes are not stored anywhere. They are not written down. They exist only in our minds. And human minds are very fragile things. Apply too much pressure, use the wrong torture method, and we die. When we die, the codes die with us. Then we will be very careful, Lord Vethis growled. The Vren have extracted information from thousands of species. We know exactly how much pain a body can endure before death. We will keep you alive. We will make you talk, Dr. Kane laughed. It was a cold sound that echoed through the Great Hall. You think humans fear pain? Emperor, do you know anything about our history? We have spent 10,000 years perfecting ways to hurt each other. We have endured torture that would kill most of your species. Some of our soldiers trained by learning to resist interrogation. They learned to embrace pain, to use it. Captain Ross has been through that training. So have I. So has Ambassador Blake. You can hurt us, but you cannot break us. Not in 20 minutes. 18 minutes remained. Emperor Drexus stared at the humans. You are bluffing. You would not sacrifice your own lives to destroy the galaxy. Would we not? Blake asked. Let me tell you something about home. Manatee, we are spiteful. When faced with extinction, we do not surrender. We burn everything down and take our enemies with us. Check your historical archives. Look up Earth's wars. You will find hundreds of examples of humans choosing death over submission. We are very, very good at dying for principles. The Emperor hesitated. The countdown ticked lower. 16 minutes. Perhaps, suggested Lady Shirith of the Silith, her shadow form rippling with concern. We should hear their terms. If they truly have this power, we lose nothing by listening. We lose respect, Drexus snapped. If the Dominion negotiates with terrorists, every species will think they can threaten us. The Empire will collapse from within. The Empire will collapse anyway, Captain Ross pointed out, in about 15 minutes. Unless you listen. The Emperor's crystal body dimmed, then brightened, then dimmed again. It was a sign of deep internal conflict. Finally, he waved the guards away. Speak, what are your demands? Blake pulled up new holographic images. They showed Earth's solar system again, but this time with more detail. Ships were visible. Thousands of them. All human design, all armed. Our first demand is simple. Earth remains independent. No Dominion control, no taxes, no forced technology sharing. No interference of any kind. Earth governs itself. Impossible, Lord Vethis declared. The Dominion has never granted independence to any world. If we allow Earth to remain free, others will demand the same. The Empire will fragment, yes, Blake agreed calmly. It will. That is our second demand. We want you to begin releasing other worlds that wish to leave. Not all at once. Not immediately, but gradually, over time. Let species who want freedom have it. The Council exploded with angry voices. This was not just about Earth anymore. This was about dismantling everything the Dominion had built over 1,000,000 years. This was revolution. Dr. Kane raised his voice over the chaos. Before you refuse, you should know something else. Those ships you see around Earth, those are not our entire fleet. They are just the visible ones. The ones we want you to see. Our real fleet is somewhere else. Where? Demanded Drexus. 13 minutes remained. Kane pressed a button on his device. The holographic display changed. Now it showed a map of Dominion space. Hundreds of red dots began appearing throughout the Empire. Then thousands. Then tens of thousands. They spread like a disease, covering every sector, every region, every corner of controlled space. These are human colonies, Kane explained. We have been building them for 150 years. Every time we developed a new ship, we made it look like a comet or an asteroid. We sent it into your territory at slow speeds. You never noticed. Why would you? You see millions of rocks drifting through space every day. But these rocks contained sleeping humans. They contained equipment. They contained weapons. Over the last century and a half, we have hidden 30,000 colonies throughout your empire. Each one on a moon, a rogue planet, an asteroid you never bothered to check. Each one completely invisible to your sensors. The Council fell silent. The implications were staggering. The Dominion had been infiltrated. Completely. Thoroughly. Without anyone noticing. 30,000 colonies, Blake continued, means roughly 7 billion humans scattered across your territory. You cannot find them all. You cannot destroy them all. And every single one is armed. Every single one is prepared. If you destroy Earth, those colonies activate. They do not attack your worlds. They do something worse. What could be worse than attack? Asked Lady Shirith. Captain Ross smiled. They offer hope. They offer an alternative. Every species you have conquered, every world you control, will suddenly have humans nearby offering them weapons, technology, support. Offering them the chance to rebel. You will not face one uprising. You will face thousands, all across your empire, all at once. And without the gates to move your armies quickly, you cannot stop them all. 11 minutes remained. Emperor Drexus stood from his throne. His crystal body blazed with light so bright it forced many representatives to shield their eyes. You planned this. For over a century you have been preparing to destroy us. No, Blake corrected. For over a century, we have been preparing to survive you. There is a difference. When we discovered faster than light travel, we knew you would come. We studied every species you conquered. We learned from their mistakes. They all tried to fight you directly. They all failed. So we tried something different. We hid, we spread out, we made ourselves impossible to destroy completely, and then we developed the one weapon you could not defend against. The gate weapon, Drexus said quietly. The gate weapon, Blake confirmed, which brings us to our final demand. You will agree to a non-aggression treaty with Earth. You will agree to respect our borders. and in exchange we will give you the deactivation codes. We will agree that our hidden colonies will not start wars. We will even share some of our technology with you, but only if you recognize us as equals, not subjects, not vassals, equals. 9 minutes remained, and if we refuse? Lord Vethis asked, though his voice had lost its earlier confidence. Then in 9 minutes, Dr. Kane said flatly, your empire ends. The gates collapse. Your unified control shatters, and in the chaos that follows, those 30,000 human colonies reveal themselves. They help every species that wants freedom achieve it. They provide weapons, training, support. Your empire does not just fall, it burns, and from its ashes something new grows. Something built on choice instead of force. The Emperor looked at the countdown. 8 minutes. He looked at his council. He saw fear on faces that had never known fear before. He looked at the 3 humans standing calmly in the center of his throne room, holding the fate of the galaxy in their hands. You have left me no choice, Drexus said finally. No, Blake replied. We have given you the only choice that matters. Adapt or die, change or fall. Release your grip or lose everything. That is always the choice, Emperor. You just never had to make it before. 7 minutes remained, and the Emperor of 300,000 worlds faced the hardest decision of his impossibly long life. 6 minutes remained when Emperor Drexus made his decision. But it was not the decision the humans expected. His crystal body flared with brilliant light, and he spoke a single word in the ancient language of the Dominion. The word meant execution. The Great Hall vanished. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly. The 3 humans found themselves standing in empty space. No floor beneath their feet. No air in their lungs. The cold vacuum of space should have killed them in seconds, but they did not die. They stood on an invisible platform surrounded by the Dominion's battle fleet. 5,000 warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. All of them had their weapons pointed at the humans. James Blake touched his collar where a small device glowed blue. Personal life support shields. We came prepared, Emperor. Did you really think we would walk into your throne room without protection? Drexus materialized in space before them, his crystal form now 10 meters tall, blazing like a star. I have made my choice. I will not negotiate with terrorists. I will not allow blackmail to dictate policy. I will destroy Earth. I will hunt down every human colony. I will spend 10,000 years if necessary. But I will eliminate your species from the galaxy. And I will do it knowing that my gates will fall, knowing that my empire will fragment, because the alternative is worse. Worse how? Captain Ross asked. Because if I surrender to you, every species in the galaxy learns that the Dominion can be beaten. That threats work, that we are weak. My empire might survive losing the gates. It will not survive losing respect. So I choose war. I choose to burn the galaxy rather than kneel to humans. 4 minutes remained. Dr. Kane checked his device. You realize your fleet cannot reach Earth in 4 minutes? Even at full speed with emergency gates, your ships need at least 10 minutes to arrive in our solar system. By then, the countdown ends. The gates fall. And you lose anyway. I know, Drexus said calmly, which is why I am not sending my fleet to Earth. I am using them here. I am going to torture you. I am going to use pain beyond anything you can imagine. And I am going to make you give me those codes. 4 minutes is more than enough time to break a human mind if you know how. The warships opened fire. Not to kill, to hurt. Energy beams struck the human shields, not hard enough to break them, but hard enough to make the shields heat up. The temperature inside the protective fields began to rise. Slowly, steadily. The humans would cook inside their own shields. Blake grimaced as sweat began to form on his forehead. Clever, but still not enough. We prepared for this too. Ross pulled a small injector from her belt and pressed it against her neck. Kane and Blake did the same. They injected themselves with something. Immediately, their expressions became calmer. Their breathing slowed. Neural blockers, Ross explained through gritted teeth. They shut down pain receptors. We can still feel that we are being damaged, but we do not feel the suffering. You can burn us to death, Emperor, but you cannot torture us. We will die before we break. 3 minutes remained. Drexus intensified the attack. The shields around the humans glowed white-hot. Their clothes began to smoke. Their skin turned red from the heat. But they did not scream. They did not beg. They stood silently, accepting death rather than surrender. Remarkable, the Emperor said, and there was something like respite Ect in his voice. Most species would have broken by now. Humans truly are different, but pain is not my only tool. He gestured and the attack stopped. The humans sagged, their bodies damaged but still alive. Their shields had held barely. I do not need to torture you, Drexus continued. I need only to convince you. So let me show you what happens to species who defy me. A holographic display appeared in space. It showed a planet, green and blue and beautiful. Cities covered its surface. Billions of beings lived there. Then the display showed the Dominion fleet arriving, showed the planet's government refusing to surrender, showed the Emperor's response: the planet burned. Not from bombs, not from lasers, from something worse. The Dominion had weapons that could ignite a world's atmosphere, turn an entire planet into a fireball. The display showed every city, every forest, every ocean catching fire simultaneously. It showed 4 billion lives ending in agony. It showed a world dying. This is what I did to the Veltran civilization, Drexus explained. They refused to obey. They chose resistance over submission, so I chose to make an example. I chose to show the galaxy what happens to those who defy me. That was 6,000 years ago. Since then, 10,000 species have knelt rather than face the same fate. Now I ask you humans, is your pride worth this? Is your independence worth watching Earth burn? 2 minutes remained. Blake looked at the images of the burning world, looked at the 4 billion dead, looked at the Emperor who had murdered them without hesitation or remorse. And he laughed. It was not a nervous laugh, not a frightened laugh. It was a laugh of genuine amusement. You show us atrocity and expect us to be cowed? Emperor, you do not understand humans at all. We have committed atrocities against each other that would make your genocide look merciful. We have burned our own cities. We have used weapons that poisoned our own land for generations. We have fought wars where we killed millions of our own species. Do you think showing us death frightens us? We are intimate with death. We have made an art form of destruction. Your threat is not special. It is just another war. And humans are very, very good at war. 1 minute remained. Captain Ross stepped forward despite her injuries. Here is what you do not understand. You have ruled for 8,000 years. You have conquered 10,000 species. You have never lost. That made you predictable. That made you arrogant. You assumed we would react like every other species, beg, plead, surrender, but we studied you. We learned from those you conquered, and we prepared for exactly this moment. 1 minute, Dr. Kane announced. In 60 seconds, those codes become irrelevant. The gates fall whether you want them to or not. And then your empire fragments, and then our hidden colonies reveal themselves. And then the real war begins, a war you cannot win, because you built an empire on fear and control. We built a resistance on hope and freedom. Your system requires you to win every battle. Ours only requires us to survive, and we are exceptionally good at surviving. 45 seconds remained. Emperor Drexus looked at the countdown, looked at the 3 humans who were burned and damaged but still defiant, looked at his fleet of 5,000 warships that had not broken them, and for the first time in 8,000 years he felt something he had not felt since he was young. He felt doubt. You would truly rather die than submit? He asked quietly. Every time, Blake answered, without hesitation. That is what makes humans dangerous, Emperor. We do not calculate odds. We do not weigh risks carefully. When our principles are threatened, when our freedom is at stake, we simply fight. Logic does not matter. Survival does not matter. Only the fight matters. And we will fight you until one of us is extinct. 30 seconds remained. The Emperor made his choice. Stop the countdown. What? Lord Vethus roared from his warship. Your Radiance, you cannot seriously consider... I said stop the countdown, Drexus commanded. I will not sacrifice 300,000 worlds to maintain pride. Ambassador Blake, I accept your terms. Earth will have independence. I will begin the process of allowing other worlds to choose freedom. And you will give me the deactivation codes. Now. 20 seconds remained. James Blake pulled out the pocket watch. Inside was a single button marked green for deactivation. His thumb hovered over it. Swear it. Swear before this entire fleet that you will honor the treaty, that Earth and all humans will be left alone, that you will not seek revenge later. Swear it on your authority as Emperor. 15 seconds, I swear, Drexus said, and his voice carried across every communication channel in the fleet. By my authority as Emperor, by the power of the Dominion, by my personal honor that spans 8 millennia, I swear that Earth will remain independent. that humans will be respected as equals, that no revenge will be sought. I swear this before all assembled. Let it be recorded. Let it be witnessed. Let it be law. 10 seconds. Blake pressed the button. Throughout the galaxy at 300,000 Dominion gates, the countdown stopped. The weapons deactivated. The gates were saved. The Empire would survive. But it would survive changed. Forever marked by the day when one small species said no. When 3 humans held the galaxy hostage and won. The Emperor of the Dominion looked at Ambassador Blake. You have achieved the impossible. But understand this. I have agreed to peace. I have not agreed to forgiveness. We will watch you. We will remember this. And if you betray this treaty, if you use your hidden colonies to attack us, there will be nowhere in the galaxy you can hide. Blake smiled through his injuries. Fair enough. And if you break your word, if you threaten Earth again, remember this moment. Remember that humans do not bluff. Remember that we are willing to burn down empires. And remember that there are 30,000 colonies you still have not found, all of them waiting, all of them watching. Peace works both ways, Emperor. And so in the darkness of space, surrounded by warships and weapons, a treaty was born. Not from trust, not from friendship, but from mutual fear and mutual respect. The Empire had learned that humanity could not be conquered. Humanity had learned that the Empire could negotiate. And the galaxy had learned that sometimes the smallest species could change everything. 3 days after the treaty was signed, the real problems began. James Blake sat in a medical recovery room aboard a human ship, his burns healing slowly under advanced treatment. Captain Ross and Dr. Kane were in similar rooms nearby. They had survived the Emperor's torture, but barely. Now they faced something potentially more dangerous. Politics. The door opened and Admiral Patricia Cole entered. She commanded Earth's hidden fleet, the thousands of ships that had remained concealed during the confrontation. Her face was not happy. Ambassador, we have a situation. Multiple situations, actually. Blake sat up carefully, his healing skin protesting the movement. Tell me. First, the good news. The treaty is holding. Emperor Drexus has officially declared Earth independent. He has ordered all Dominion forces to withdraw from our solar system. The gates are functioning normally again. No one died. You actually pulled it off. And the bad news? Cole pulled up a holographic display. It showed dozens of star systems throughout the Dominion, all highlighted in red. The bad news is that your speech inspired exactly what you predicted. 73 different worlds have declared independence in the last 3 days. The Emperor is trying to suppress the rebellions, but without being able to use overwhelming force for fear of looking tyrannical. He is losing. The Dominion is fragmenting faster than anyone expected. Blake frowned. That is what we wanted, is it not? Freedom spreading? Yes and no, Cole replied. Some of these rebellions are legitimate. Species genuinely seeking self-governance, but others are warlords seeing an opportunity, or criminal organizations, or species with old grudges planning revenge on their neighbors. We wanted freedom, Blake. What we are getting is chaos. Captain Ross entered the room moving stiffly. She had been listening through the door. How bad is the chaos? Bad, Cole admitted. The Vren system has split into 3 factions, all claiming to be the true government. Each one is threatening war on the others. The Silith have completely withdrawn from Dominion space and are refusing all communication. No one knows what they are planning. The Cortax are demanding that all non-energy-based life forms leave their territories immediately. And that is just the major species. The minor ones are worse. We have piracy, ethnic cleansing, territorial disputes, and at least 4 genocides in progress. Dr. Kane limped into the room, his legs still bandaged. So we saved the galaxy from tyranny and delivered it into war. Wonderful. It gets worse, Cole continued. She pulled up new data. Remember those 30,000 human colonies we mentioned? The ones hidden throughout Dominion space? Well, some of them have decided not to wait for instructions from Earth. 300 colonies have revealed themselves and started offering military support to rebel factions. Another 200 are selling weapons to anyone who can pay. And about 50 colonies have declared themselves independent, not just from the Dominion, but from Earth as well. They are forming their own governments. They do not answer to us anymore. Blake closed his eyes and rubbed his temples. Of course they are. We trained them to be independent, to survive without support, to make their own decisions. And now they are making decisions we do not like. What do we do? Ross asked. We cannot control them. We cannot even find most of them. They have been hiding successfully for decades. If they do not want to be found, they will not be found. We adapt, Blake said after a moment. We cannot control the situation, so we stop trying. Instead, we respond to it. Cole, I need you to send a message to all human colonies. Tell them that Earth is not demanding obedience. We are not trying to rule them. But we are asking for cooperation. We need them to act responsibly. To help species that genuinely want freedom, not to support warlords or criminals. Can you do that? I can send the message, Cole replied. But I cannot guarantee they will listen. They will, Kane said quietly. Not all of them, but most. Because most of those colonists left Earth believing in the same principles we do. Freedom, dignity, choice. They will not want to see those principles corrupted. They will police themselves. Eventually, a communication alert sounded. Cole checked it and her expression darkened. We have an incoming transmission. From Emperor Drexus. He is demanding to speak with you immediately. Blake stood, wincing at his injuries. Put him through. The holographic display shifted to show the Emperor. His crystal form looked dimmer than before, less radiant. He looked tired. Ambassador Blake, we need to talk, privately. Cole, Ross, and Kane left the room. Blake faced the Emperor alone. What do you want, Drexus? I want your help, the Emperor said, and there was no pride in his voice. Only exhaustion. The galaxy is collapsing. 73 rebellions have become 200. Species are declaring independence every hour. Old enemies are preparing for war. My peacekeeping forces are stretched beyond their limits, and I cannot use the brutal tactics I once used because the entire galaxy is watching, waiting to see if I am serious about reform. If I crush these rebellions, I prove I lied about granting freedom. If I do nothing, the Dominion dies. I need your help to find a middle path. Blake sat down heavily. You are asking the species that just threatened to destroy your empire to help you save it? I am asking the species that understands freedom to help me grant it properly, Drexus corrected. You were right. My empire was built on fear, on forced submission, but I do not know how to govern any other way. I have ruled for 8,000 years using the same methods. Now you tell me those methods are wrong. Fine, I accept that. But you must show me what is right. You must help me transform the Dominion into something that can survive without tyranny. Why would I help you? Blake asked bluntly. Because if you do not, the galaxy burns, the Emperor replied. You wanted freedom for oppressed species. But freedom without structure becomes anarchy. Those 73 rebellions? Half of them will result in civil wars. A quarter will end in genocide. Only a handful will actually achieve stable self-governance. Is that what you wanted? Is that worth destroying my empire? Blake was silent for a long moment. The Emperor was right. Freedom was not enough. Species needed time to learn how to govern themselves. They needed support. They needed examples. They needed help. What are you proposing? A partnership, Drexus said. The Dominion and Earth working together. I provide structure, stability, resources. You provide new ideas, new methods of governance, new ways to maintain order without tyranny. We create a transition period. We help species move from dependence to independence gradually. We prevent the worst of the chaos while still allowing genuine freedom to grow. That sounds suspiciously like maintaining your empire under a different name, Blake observed. Perhaps, the Emperor admitted, or perhaps it is genuinely creating something new. Something neither purely empire nor purely anarchy. A federation maybe. A commonwealth. I do not know what to call it. But I know we need to try, because the alternative is watching trillions die in pointless wars. Blake thought about the reports Cole had shown him. The genocides. The warlords. The chaos spreading like wildfire through the galaxy. He thought about what they had fought for. Not just freedom, but the chance for species to thrive, to grow, to become something better. And that required more than just destroying the old order. It required building something new to replace it. I will need to discuss this with Earth's government, Blake said finally. But I think we can work together. On certain conditions. Name them. First, any species that wants immediate independence gets it. No delays, no conditions. If they want to govern themselves right now, they have that right, even if we think they are making a mistake. Second, the Dominion stops all forced conscription, forced labor, and forced biological archiving. Those programs end immediately. Third, we create a joint council, representatives from Earth, from the Dominion, and from newly independent species. This council has real power. It can overrule both of us if necessary. No one controls the galaxy alone anymore. Drexus considered the conditions. And what do I get from this partnership? You get to survive, Blake said bluntly. You get to transform your legacy from tyrant to statesman. You get to be remembered as the emperor who had the wisdom to change, and you get Earth's support in preventing the worst of the chaos. Our colonies will work with your peacekeepers to stop genocides and warlords. We become partners in maintaining order without tyranny. The emperor was silent for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. I accept your conditions. We will begin immediately. But Blake, understand this. I am trusting you. I am trusting that humans mean what they say about freedom and dignity and choice. If you betray that trust, if you use this partnership to weaken the Dominion so you can conquer it later, I will consider our treaty void, and I will respond with everything I have. Fair enough, Blake replied. And if you use this partnership as cover to return to your old ways, we will activate those gate weapons again. Trust works both ways, Emperor. They looked at each other across the holographic display, two beings who should have been enemies, who had nearly destroyed each other, now attempting something unprecedented, attempting to build a new order based not on fear but on cooperation. It was fragile. It was uncertain. But it was a chance. Let us begin, Drexus said. Let us try to save the galaxy together. And in that moment, something shifted. The old order was dying. The new order was not yet born. But in the space between, two former enemies reached out and tried to build a bridge. It would not be easy. It would not be quick. And it might not even work. But it was the only path forward that did not end in galactic war. So they took it. Together. And hoped it would be enough. 5 years had passed since the confrontation in the Great Hall. James Blake stood at a window in the new council station, watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. The station floated in neutral space belonging to no single species. It was a symbol of the new order, a place where all species met as equals. The council chamber was different from the Dominion's Great Hall. Smaller, less intimidating. Designed for conversation rather than judgment, representatives sat in a circle, not rising tiers. No one was higher than anyone else. It had taken 3 years to build this station, 2 more to convince most species to participate. But now, 200 systems sent representatives here regularly, 200 systems that governed themselves but cooperated for mutual benefit. Captain Ross entered the observation room. She had been promoted to general and now commanded Earth's diplomatic security forces. The Emperor is here. Are you ready? Blake turned from the window. Is anyone ever ready to meet with Drexus? Fair point, Ross smiled. But he has changed. You know he has. This is not the same Emperor who tried to burn us alive. They walked to the council chamber together. Emperor Drexus was already there, talking with representatives from the Vren and Silith. The 3 factions of Vren had eventually reunified under a democratic council. The Silith had returned from isolation and were experimenting with individual consciousness instead of their traditional hive mind. Everywhere Blake looked, he saw change. Some good, some problematic, all of it messy and human and alive. The meeting began with reports from various systems. The Cortax had finally agreed to stop expelling non-energy life forms from their territories. A trade dispute between 2 former Dominion colonies had been resolved peacefully. A warlord attempting to conquer the Varus system had been stopped by combined human and Dominion peacekeepers. Small victories, incremental progress, but progress nonetheless. Then came the difficult part. Dr. Kane, now Earth's chief diplomat, presented a proposal. We have a problem in the Terminus sector. 15 systems that declared independence 5 years ago are now facing economic collapse. They lack the infrastructure to maintain themselves. They are requesting aid. The question is, do we help them? Lord Vethis, representing the Vren, growled his opinion. They chose independence. They must face the consequences. If we rescue every failed state, we teach species that freedom comes without responsibility. Lady Shireth of the Salith disagreed. Her shadow form rippled with concern. But if we watch them collapse, we teach species that independence means abandonment. That freedom leads to suffering. We must help. The debate continued for an hour. Blake listened to all sides. This was the challenge of the new order. Under the Dominion, decisions had been simple. The Emperor commanded and everyone obeyed. Now every choice required consensus, required debate, required patience. It was frustrating. It was Time-consuming, but it was also the only way forward that respected everyone's voice. Finally, Emperor Drexus spoke. I propose a compromise. We provide aid, but not unconditionally. These systems must agree to economic reforms, must accept advisors, must allow oversight, not because we want to control them, but because we want them to succeed. We help them learn to govern themselves properly. Then we leave. After more discussion, the proposal passed. 15 systems would receive aid with conditions. It was not perfect. Some representatives thought it was too harsh. Others thought it was too lenient. But it was what they could all agree on. And in the new order, that was enough. The meeting adjourned. Blake caught up with Emperor Drexus in the corridor outside. Can I speak with you privately? They moved to a smaller room. Just the two of them. Blake pulled up a holographic display showing a remote sector of space. We found another human colony, number 30,117. This one never reported in. Never made contact. We only discovered them because a Dominion patrol detected unusual energy signatures. And? Drexus asked. And they have been raiding nearby systems, taking resources, enslaving alien populations. They claim they are just following human nature, that we are conquerors by instinct. They have refused all orders to stop. They say Earth has no authority over them. The Emperor studied the data. What do you want to do? I want to stop them, Blake said quietly. With force if necessary. But I need your permission to operate in that sector. And I need your support. Because if Earth attacks a human colony, even a criminal one, some people will see it as civil war, as humanity turning on itself. It could damage everything we have built. Drexus considered for a moment. You are asking me to help you police your own species. Yes, that is remarkable. 5 years ago you threatened to destroy my empire. Now you are asking for my help, maintaining order among your own people. That shows tremendous trust, Blake smiled slightly, or tremendous pragmatism. This colony is making humans look like hypocrites. We cannot demand freedom for others while enslaving species ourselves. We have to stop them. But we need to do it properly. With legal authority. With witnesses. With justice, not revenge. Very well, the Emperor agreed. I will assign a Dominion security force to assist you. We will bring this colony to justice together. It will send a message. That freedom comes with responsibility. That even humans must follow the rules. Thank you. Drexus paused at the door. Blake, can I ask you something? Do you regret it? The chaos you unleashed? The galaxy is still unstable, still dangerous. We have solved some problems, but created others. Was it worth it? Blake thought about the question carefully. He thought about the species that had achieved genuine self-governance. He thought about the innovations emerging from newly free civilizations. He thought about art and music and ideas that never could have existed under the Dominion's control. But he also thought about the wars, the failed states, the suffering that came with transition. Ask me again in 100 years, he said finally. Right now I honestly do not know. We traded certainty for possibility, stability for freedom. Whether that was the right choice depends on what we build from here, on whether we can create something better than what we destroyed. An honest answer, Drexus acknowledged. Most politicians would claim absolute certainty in their decisions. Most politicians are lying, Blake replied. The truth is we made a gamble. A huge one. We bet that species given freedom would eventually learn to use it wisely. That the pain of transition would be worth the gain of liberty. We will not know if we were right for generations. Maybe centuries. The Emperor's crystal form pulsed with what might have been amusement. You know what I have learned in these 5 years? I have learned that humans are not special because they are strong. You are special because you accept uncertainty. My species, we need to know. We need to understand. We need to control. That is why we built an empire, to create certainty in an uncertain galaxy. But you humans, you seem comfortable not knowing. You make decisions without guarantees. You accept risk as normal. That is both your greatest strength and your most terrifying quality. Blake laughed. You are right. We do accept uncertainty, because we have no choice. Our lives are so short compared to yours. We cannot spend centuries planning. We have to act. To try, to fail, to try again. We die before we see the results of most of our decisions, so we make them anyway and hope whoever comes after us can handle the consequences. A strange way to live, Drexus observed. It is the only way we know. They parted ways. Blake returned to the observation window, watching more ships arrive at the council station. Ships from Earth and former Dominion worlds. Ships from newly independent systems and ancient civilizations. All coming together to argue, to negotiate, to try to build something new. It was messy. It was imperfect. Some meetings ended in agreement. Others ended in shouting. Progress came in tiny steps, not giant leaps. But it was progress. Real progress. The kind built on consent rather than fear. Blake thought about that day 5 years ago. Thought about standing in the Great Hall with a countdown to apocalypse running. Thought about the moment when everything could have ended in fire and death. They had been so close to galactic war, so close to mutual destruction. But they had stepped back from that edge. Had found another way. Not a perfect way, but a possible way. His communication device chimed. Admiral Cole's voice came through. Blake, we have new requests from 18 systems wanting to join the Council. We also have reports of 3 more rebellions, 2 trade disputes, and a diplomatic crisis with the Cortex again. How do you want to proceed? Blake smiled. This was his life now. Endless problems. Endless negotiations. Endless work trying to hold together a fragile alliance of free species. It was exhausting. It was frustrating. And he would not trade it for anything. Send me the files, he said. Let us get started. Because that was what the new order required. Not grand gestures. Not dramatic confrontations. Just daily work. Patient effort. Slow progress towards something better. The Dominion had ruled through fear for 1,000,000 years. The new order would be built through cooperation over generations. It was not perfect. But it was free. And that made all the difference. Blake looked out at the stars and thought about the future. About the species learning to govern themselves. About the colonies spreading across the galaxy. About humans and aliens working together to solve problems no one could solve alone. About the messy, chaotic, beautiful experiment in freedom they had all become part of. When the Galactic Empire had ordered Earth to kneel, humanity had declared war with fire. But the real victory had not come from weapons or threats. It had come from showing the galaxy that there was an alternative to tyranny, that freedom was possible, that species could cooperate without being forced. The galaxy was still learning those lessons. Still struggling with them, still failing sometimes and succeeding others, but they were learning, they were trying. They were building something new from the ashes of the old empire. And James Blake, the ambassador who had held the galaxy hostage, who had threatened to destroy everything, now spent his days helping to build, to create, to nurture the fragile shoots of genuine freedom growing throughout the stars. It was harder work than threatening empires. But it was better work. More important work. The work that would define whether their gamble had been worth it. Only time would tell if they had made the right choice. But they had made their choice, and now they would live with it. Together, the end.